back to my channel and welcome to today's video, which is going to be my top 10 favorite, highly recommended, most recommended fall/winter eyeshadow palettes. And I say winter because I use these palettes all fall and winter because here in California it's not like it gets like super wintry, and I'm also not the type of girl who uses like frosty blues or like blues in the winter because that's just the color that winter reminds me of. So without any further ado, if you want to see what palettes I recommend, then just keep on watching. Let's jump right into this. We're going to start off with Violet VOSS because I feel like they're the first like big palettes I started getting into, other than like the 120 eyeshadow palette from eBay that I feel like all the OG YouTubers owned, because that's like the palette that set everything off for all of us, including myself. Now these palettes from Violet VOSS, I've had them, some of them for a while. I have 3, so I would say my collection from them is very good because I also have a highlighter palette from them. Now starting off with the most expensive one, I'm just gonna get it out of the way. Now I'm going to preface this video by saying that I am going to include a little bit of everything, high-end, drugstore, you know, affordable, more expensive, so we can have a little bit for everyone, because there is people who like to spend their money on high-end palettes or more expensive palettes, as there is people who like to, you know, save their money and spend, you know, on affordable products and buy something else with, you know, the rest of their moolah. So with that being said, I'm starting off with the most expensive one, which is $75 from Violet VOSS. But I feel in my heart that this price is justified for this palette, because not only is the packaging A+, the eyeshadows are amazing. The formulation of these eyeshadows is incredible. The names are inside next to the eyeshadows. The mirror is ginormous. And look at the eyeshadows. You literally have, is it focused? You literally have everything you can want in your warm, like, just warm dreams.
That sounds so wrong. I'm such an idiot. I have such a dirty mind.
Like in your warm toned dreams. If you ever dream of all these warm tones. I mean, I do, because I'm obsessed with warm tones, as you can obviously tell. That's all I like to wear. But it also has some cool tones that I feel like if you are looking for something like in between, like you want warm tones but not the whole palette to be warm tones, warm tones, you want a little bit of cool tones mixed in there, this is the perfect palette. As you can see, it has everything: warm, neutral, cool tones, and then gold, your strip of gold, which is one of the things that caught my attention. Another thing that I love about this palette is that all the names are under the eyeshadows, but all the names are also girl names, so you know, girl power. This palette is awesome. Now, some of my favorite names are like Scarlet. If I ever had a child, I've always said this, if I ever had a baby and it was a girl, I would love to name her Scarlet. I love that name. I don't know, it just rolls off your tongue so nicely. I don't know, you know, I'm crazy. But I like that name. Another one that I really like was Madeline, Allison, and that's based off the colors as well. Amy, don't really like the name, but I love the color right there. It's my favorite color in this palette. And then Stephanie, like, I just love these colors. I love this palette. I've actually even used the silver tones, which I'm not so much into those tones, but they've came in handy. These two blacks, like this one is black, but it has glitters, like kind of like silver blue glitters. And it's not like chunky glitter. It's just like flecks of glitter when you apply it on your eyes and do like a smoky eye, and those little glitters catch the light. It looks so beautiful. This palette for me is just very well made. Like the quality feels sturdy. It's not too heavy, but it's also doesn't feel like it weighs like nothing. The packaging, I mean, holographic leopard bows, cuteness all around. This palette is just like the most unique packaging that I have in my collection, and the most unique palette that I have in my collection, hands down. So I'm moving on from that one because I've talked about it for a while now. Now these two are $45 and they are also from Violet Voss. I have the Holy Grail palette, which was their first palette, and I bought it back when the packaging was very, very, you know, not that cute. Obviously you can see a comparison to the other palette, like that was the huge step up to this. But what matters, you know, is what's in the inside. And look at this baby. This baby was like my go-to for months because I just fell in love with how warm tone, but you still had your neutral brown side. And then I love this color called So Jelly. Is so stunning. I love it. It's like a peachy color, but when you put it on the eyes, it has like a duochrome of like purple and pink. Beautiful. Cranberry splash, and obviously Wine and Dine is my favorite from this palette. Now they have a better packaging on it, a more, you know, upscale, I would say. They definitely upgraded the packaging to this type of packaging, which is thicker, as you can see right there. This is their new, well, one of their newer palettes, which is the palette Hashtag, and it is also $45. Now the mirror is bigger, as you can see. This one's very small, this one's bigger. The names are still all on these palettes, which I think is really, really good. And this is considered an indie brand, and I think like if indie brands can include their names of the eyeshadows on their palettes inside of it, not just like on a little cardboard or on the back part, why can't the huge big companies do the same thing? Like, I just feel like some companies need to take notes. Some of the bigger companies need to take notes on these indie brands who are doing it all, and they are charging less than a lot of these higher end brands. Anyways, sorry for that little rant. But this palette, so this is like cranberry gold warm goodness, and this is my favorite shade. Now I'm going to say that I know all three palettes from Violet Voss have that same shade, but I can tell the difference in the shades, even if it's like a pinch more hot pink or a pinch more red tone. I can tell. So don't judge me on that. Because that is my favorite color, and I look for that color in all my palettes. I have other palettes with those colors. I just love them, and I love to have a variety of colors. I know when I want the, you know, wine cranberry shade from the Hashtag palette, that it's different from my Violet Voss Ride or Die palette, which I forgot to say the name. This one is the Ride or Die palette. FYI. But yeah, this one, I was intrigued by this palette mainly because of this strip of gold, and obviously all the other shades, but this one interested me because of these golds. They look different than the Ride or Die palette, and they do swatch different, so they are different, you know. But I mean, you can tell these are basically my favorite colors, and I love their names. Their names like Savage, Lady Boss, No Filter, Pretty AF, Relevant, Goals, FOMO, No Filter. Their names are always, I can't even speak. Their names are always really unique and cute. Even in the Holy Grail palette, my favorite name is Wine and Dine, which is the wine shade. So Jelly, On Fleek, How You Doing, Hashtag, Thanks a Latte, Are You Kidding Me, Cool Beans, Bat My Eyes, Brownie Points, Glamping, another of my favorite names. So yeah, those are the ones from Violet Voss that I feel like are really good, and I definitely recommend. Moving on to these, which are still a little bit pricey. HUDA Beauty. HUDA Beauty. I love both of these palettes. Rose Gold, Desert Dusk. Now these retail for $65. The first one I got was the Rose Gold palette. Obviously it was her first palette, and as you can see, I mean, everyone has seen these. I have reviews, swatches, plenty of tutorials with these palettes on my channel. I will try to link as many as I can in the description down below. Now I love this one. This one was my first love with Huda Beauty eyeshadows, and that's why I've continued to purchase hers. I have the little mini Obsessions ones. But the one that was remastered for this one, I was not into it because for me, this one worked really, really good and I liked it. And if something isn't broken, why try and fix it? Is my kind of thing with it. I know some people didn't like it and maybe they purchased the remastered one and then they fell in love with it, and that's okay. For me personally, this one worked amazing and it was definitely one of my go-tos. These eyeshadows, as you can see, are completely sunk in. That's how much I use these, because they just look so stunning on the eyes. Like a little bit of orange in the crease and you pop in Trust Fund, which is kind of like a bronzy shade, and it looks beautiful and it stands out, and they're like super reflective and sparkly without being chunky and super glittery, which is why I love them. The color Maneater, again, one of my favorites. I just love this shade. Like I need I need all of those shades in the world in my collection so I can be a happy camper. Next, Huda Beauty, again, the Desert Dust palette. I feel like this one has a bit more purpley vibes as opposed to that one, which is definitely more like burgundy red toned. So you can see this one has that whole row of very, very unique colors, and this glitter I actually was a huge fan of, and I used it. As you can see, I actually hit pan on it. That's how much I love that shade of glitter. This one again is one of my favorites. It has that duochrome, like purpley blue. This one does as well. I really love these palettes. They worked really, really good for me and I definitely recommend them. And packaging on this one is A+. Next, another one that's a little bit pricey, $50 for Color Drain Queen of Hearts, but this literally is one of the queen of my hearts. Look at this palette. Obviously,
I feel like I'm being judged.
because of all these shades that I have in literally all the palettes. But again, this is just my favorite shade, and if a palette has it, it definitely catches my attention and I want to buy it. But this is a really, really good palette. I've taken this palette on trips and it works so good. If you don't know what to do, like I feel like I've pulled off different looks with just this palette day after day after day. It's not like, oh, what am I gonna do today? I have all the same colors. No, like there's so many color combinations you can do on the eyes, so many looks, just like a smoky plain look. You know, this palette is really, really good. I fell in love with the formulation of their eyeshadows, that I want to invest in like a empty palette and buying a lot of their single shadows just because they're so good in my opinion. Moving on to the more affordable palettes, I would say Jaclyn Hill times Morphe, the Jaclyn Hill palette. You know, contrary to a lot of people who didn't like this palette, I loved it. I have used it non-stop. This is another really, really good palette. Now this palette, I've told you guys, I feel like is a all year palette, but especially fall and winter because of those shades, and obviously summer you can play with these fun colors and still have neutral shades. So that's why I like this palette a lot. I also like that it has some olive green shades down here, forest green. This palette, I feel like even though it has its warm shades, it also has its very nice cool tone shades. So it's also like a very, you know, good palette if you don't just want super warm tone shades. This has a pinch of cool tones, which is what I also like about this palette. Now I have the old packaging, which is the matte one. They now have the glossy finish, which won't get as dirty as this one. Mine is disgusting, but it's okay. Like I said, that one was $38. This next one, Pinky Rose Cosmetics Runway palette, this is $26.99 and I really like this one. Look at this. This has everything I can want. A row of burgundy shades, a basic row of brown shades, that olive caca green shade, a row of yellow shades, which these yellows are amazing, and a row of burnt orange shades. Like everything I can want in a palette, this palette has it. And this one has a variety of not only a bright yellow, but mustard yellow shades. So if you're looking for those type of shades, this is an amazing palette, and I am head over heels for this palette. And I've done looks with it, so I will link them down below. Last but not least, ColourPop Yes Please palette. This, I would say, is the most used palette in my collection. By far, I have used it non-stop. since I purchased it, mine is completely embarrassingly, disgustingly gunky and nasty because I've just used it so much. But I do want to mention that now it does say yes please on the front. They changed the packaging so it says yes please. So don't think like mine's a fake one, because it's not. In my other channel, someone's like, my palette says yes please in the front. Did I get a fake one? And it's not fake. They just like repackaged or like revamped their packaging, and now it just says yes please in the front. I honestly didn't understand why it said QAF if the name of the palette was yes please when it first launched, but I mean that wasn't like a big problem for me. I was more into the shades. So yeah, look at these shades. This palette, if I don't know what to do, if I'm stuck, I will just pop this color in the crease, blend it out, apply some of this in my brow bone, and I'm good to go. That's just how I use this palette. Also, this pinky shade, I like to blend it with that brown shade that I told you guys. And that's just like my go-to look with eyeliner, mascara, and I'm done. Because it's just so easy, so small, so compact, but it has enough shadows for me to do like a smoky brown eye, or like a super bright yellow look, or a fun like sparkly gold with brown. It's very versatile in my opinion, even though it doesn't have like crazy amount of shadows like the other palettes that I showed you guys. It's still a very like staple in my collection, and that's why I recommend it. And this one is only $16. And last but not least, I forgot to show you guys this one. This is from REALHER Makeup. They sent this palette to me in a like little PR box, and this is the Do Your Squats palette. Now this one I wanted to include it because I know there's people who aren't a fan of yellow shades or like super orange shades, warm orange shades, or like burgundy shades like I am. This palette I really like because it's like a perfect neutral brown palette. It doesn't have too many colors to where some people are going to be like, what do I do with this palette? What look do I do? It has 9 shades and they're very pigmented. These are the type of shadows that when you dip your brush into it, like you're good with just one little dip. You don't have to swirl it. Like it'll be enough pigment. So they're very pigmented. I love this shade Driven. I always look for these shades in palettes, and this one's super creamy, like buttery feeling and pigmented. So this is another really good one. I love this brown shade down here because it has like gold flecks, so it doesn't look just like a super like basic brown. It has glitter flecks like gold, not chunky glitter, just like little specks of glitter in there, so when the light catches your eyes you can definitely see the gold sparkle. And this one retails for $28. So yeah, let me know what you guys thought about this video. If you have any of these palettes in your collection and you love them as much as I do, or what is your palette, like your favorite go-to fall winter palette that you recommend me so I can check it out and see which ones are your favorites. Don't forget to leave them in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and like always, I will see you all in my next video. Bye.